August 8th. We will call the first meeting of the Municipal Solid Waste Advisory Committee to order at 7:02 p.m. Because we're all full remote, we'll do a quick roll call and comms check. Mr. Malloy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Perchik?
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Rock?
Hello?
Ms. Foley?
Here.
Mr. Broussard?
Here.
Excellent. First item on your agenda is to organize. Would somebody like to kick off a discussion or make a motion to appoint the chair?
Is there anyone interested in being chair?
Well, Mr. Malloy, from the previous meeting, seems to have the most experience in the area. He's pretty knowledgeable. I'm sure we'll be leaning on him a lot. I don't know if that leads to also being chair, but that might be my pick.
My only concern is I may be, I'm planning on being out of the country for 3 weeks, mid-January to early February. And I thought if we had a meeting during that period, I'll be in Asia, so I could, log on using Zoom, but it might be 4 o'clock in the morning or something weird like that the next day. But I'm okay doing that. But I'm also happy if one of the select board members who's the rep on the committee is interested in doing it.
That's me. And just FYI, Larry, I feel like the chair, it's really more the paperwork part of it. It's not really the expertise in the area, in my opinion. So I would rather not commit to it, but if no one else does, I can. I'm happy to be the vice chair and step in as needed. I'm involved in a lot of things.
Yeah, I can potentially do it. I just want to have a sense of what the extra time commitment is. If it's paperwork, I really don't mind. But if it's very voluminous, then it's potentially a deal breaker.
It's really just making sure that sorry, Evan.
No, go ahead.
Making sure that the agenda is to the clerk in an allotted period of time, coming up with the agenda, but that would be in conjunction with the members. And then additionally, our clerk would handle the minutes and getting those. So it's really agenda preparation and making sure that it gets posted in time. Evan, anything?
Yeah, well, it was our intent kind of, I think, through the thought process of creating this committee that my office would do a lot of that work for the group. So minutes would go through my office and the chair would just communicate with Amber and I to set the agenda. But I think it's going to be a pretty light lift as far as chair responsibilities go. I think the real work will be when everybody's together.
Okay. I mean, with that in mind, if it's sensible to everyone, I'm happy to be the chair. I also don't want to step on any toes. So whatever works for the folks here.
I would like to nominate Larry Perchik as chair then.
I second.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry, for your brave service. I will help out as we can. I don't have a ton of municipal experience on the rules of order and process of filing things, but happy to help with the lift however we can.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, you have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Malloy?
Yes, in favor.
Okay. Mr. Perchik?
Yes.
Mr. Rock?
In favor?
Ms. Foley?
Yes.
Mr. Broussard?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. I turn the meeting over to you, Mr. Perchik. Congratulations, Mr. Chair.
We didn't mention that part.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chair, if you want, I can help navigate the rest of the meeting as it's a little trial by fire. I'm been down that a couple of times now. So
Yeah, that would be really helpful, please.
Okay. So I think it's in the best interest of the committee to also select a vice chair for in case the chair cannot make it. And since, maybe Mr. Rack could do that.
I would be happy to volunteer as vice chair. Not an expert, but yeah. with the company present, can't go wrong.
There you go.
I move that we nominate Mike Rack as vice chair of this committee. I just need a second.
Second.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Oh, yeah, I'm just hopping.
Yep. Right, fell right into the chair piece. So, yeah, Larry, this is where you would normally say, all those in favor.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
And then we have to do a roll call.
Yeah, because we're online.
Yep. So I can help with that. So Jim,
Aye.
Mike. Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
And Larry.
Aye.
All right, great. All right.
Do we need a clerk?
I don't think you do. I think we're going to use up my office for support. So I think if we get to that, if we find the group finds it needs it later on, we can pivot at that time. So, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, if we went on to item number 2, I could throw up a quick slide just of kind of where we are currently.
That would be great.
Okay. Full disclosure, I cannot remote into the server for some reason tonight, so I did this on the fly during the FinCom meeting that I was just at before here. So I do have documents that I'm going to put into a shared drive that I will send out to all of you that has more supporting detail, but this will be kind of a 35,000 foot overview.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, and if I can get this to go, let's see. Okay, everybody can see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. So currently in Grafton, and I know you're all Grafton residents, so I'm sure you are aware of how we operate, but just to go over it. Currently the program is 100% pay as you throw, which means that that's the only option that residents have in front of them. We currently sell a roll of large bags for $14 and a roll of small bags for $8. One of the documents, or one of the sets of documents that I will put into the shared drive is previous memos that I have written to the select board to change those fees over time, with the intent of funding at least 50% of the projected cost of the program with those bag fees. Now, why 50%? And we'll get into that a little bit deeper, but generally speaking, when I came on board, we were in the high 30s, and we could see that was really putting a strangle on the growth of the municipal budget and being able to keep pace with both the town side and the school side. So we decided to increase those fees, which is how we got to what we're at today. The total cost of the program includes recycling. So back, when I started 10 plus years ago, and I'm sure when Jim was in different communities, we used to get paid for recycling, that you'd get a credit on your bill to supplement your municipal solid waste program. However, that's no longer the case. So through a slew of different reasons, recycling costs about the same amount as it costs to dispose of your municipal solid waste. So the bag fees are now covering both the tipping fees for trash and recycling. So with those 50% fees, we're still using about $600,000 of the operating expenses of the town to cover the remainder of trash. And subsequently, having observed that for a number of years here in Grafton, the select board determined, along with myself, that we should create an enterprise fund in May of 2025. And so I put just the state's definition of what an enterprise fund is here. But essentially, it takes the cost of the program out of the tax rate, the taxpayer funded portion of it, and makes it essentially a fee for service. So you can see that it's It's what the cost of what you bring into the enterprise fund is in theory at least supposed to cover all of the expenses that you have in the program. And so why did we do that? Well, we did it for a couple of reasons. One is that as the budget gets tighter, and as inflation happens and costs get tighter, having that portion of the tax rate funded through the tax rate, or sorry, the portion of the municipal solid waste program funded through the tax rate is less and less desirable. But there's another reason for it that's a little bit more, philosophical, which is that everybody in Grafton is paying into the tax rate, but not everybody in Grafton is utilizing the municipal solid waste program. And so you find yourself, like, let's say you live in a condo, you pay your condo fees to have your solid waste removed, but you're also paying as part of your annual taxes for everybody else's trash to be removed. So there's a little bit of an equity component to it. I wouldn't say that that's the end all be all of that, but that's kind of the underpinning of where our conversation was heading into the May town meeting. So that is about where we are, with the exception of, and I realize I didn't put this in here, our current projection for fiscal 26 for the cost of the trash program is about $1.35 million. Mike, did you have a question?
That was exactly my question, is
Okay.
the total cost at current.
Yep. That's our current cost. So you can see that, we're funding, we hover around the 50%. We kind of bounce back and forth. And it also depends on a number of other factors, which is how much the bags cost at any given time, and how much people are throwing away at any given time. So that ebbs and flows a little bit. And we do see that fluctuate. And so we can put all of that data again in the drive, and we can look at what those fluctuations look like over time as we kind of dig deeper into the solid waste. Yeah, Jim?
Yeah, just curious, when was the last time the town went out to bid for sanitation services, and for how many years was it? So when is the next bid due?
So it's fiscal 25 is when we went out. It's a 3-year with a 2-year extension. However, we did write language into the contract that would allow us to look at different service models as we went.
Okay, did that have a built-in cap on what the increase could be each year?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, good. So we have a pretty good idea. My only concern would be that, we come up with a plan,
Mhm.
and if we're going out to bid a year from now, we put new charges on people, and then shortly thereafter, it's like, oh, well, we just went out to bid, and now it's going to go up by 20 or 30%. So it's good to know that we've got a bid or a contract in place for up to 5 years, it sounds like.
Yes.
That would at least let us know what those costs were going to be going forward as we look at different fee structures. Thanks.
Yep, exactly. I, as an aside, I'd had a different vendor in my previous community that attempted to shift the cap model to just tie it to the consumer price index. And that was a lesson learned for me. I didn't agree to it, but that was a lesson learned for me, that I want a solid percentage built in of what we're going to see for rising costs. Okay. Any other questions on this brief overview? We'll put the,
Evan, the only other thing I want to throw out there, because Larry and Mike may not be aware of all of the aspects related to how an enterprise fund works. And one of the important things is, like most communities, when they have a water and sewer system, that works on through an enterprise fund.
right.
And those have to be self-supporting. And if they're not, what will end up happening is, at the end of the year, when the town submits its Schedule A to the Department of Revenue, if we don't raise enough funds to support the enterprise fund, then what ends up happening is the state will hit the town's free cash figure or a number of different things. That if we have stabilization funds or we have room to raise it in the tax rate or something like that. And then we would be falling back into the same position that we're in right now, where we have property taxes supporting the service and not necessarily the rates. And we don't want to have it both ways. And so I just want to make sure that Larry and Mike understand that when we go to set rates, we want to make sure that we have enough of and I hate to put it this way, but a cushion to make sure that whatever we do, we raise enough money to ensure that we have the funds available to cover the full cost.
So just to make sure that I understand what you're saying correctly, if there is a shortfall in the enterprise fund, that deficit comes out of the free cash fund and is frowned upon by the state?
Well, it can either come out of free cash or stabilization, or they'll
okay.
add it to
Yeah.
the tax rate as raising a deficit, basically.
Thank
We don't want to do any of those.
It would be bad for us as a town.
It would look bad to create an enterprise fund and then immediately have a deficit in it.
Yes, we do want to avoid that, and there's a number of reasons why, but I think that's a great point, Jim, to dive into that. And we can certainly go deeper into the mechanics of the enterprise fund as we move along.
I have a question.
Sure.
You mentioned that the contract that we have with our current provider allows us to explore other options while the contract is pending or ongoing.
Yes.
Are we absolutely comfortable with the terms and conditions that are in the contract, that if we go out and either negotiate with other vendors or even contract to work with another vendor, it does not expose the town to a breach lawsuit with the current vendor?
Yeah. So, absolutely comfortable is a hard thing for us to define, because we get it kind of from all sides. But yes, we have I think we have a reasonable level of comfort.
Expectation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Like, these are terms and conditions that we've used before, other towns have used, and they tend to hold up.
yeah, we did not reinvent the wheel with any of this documentation. So obviously, when we get if that's the direction the group starts to head, then we'll engage town council on that end of the conversation and talk about how to navigate that. For sure. One of the things, and this is just an aside, I guess, but one of the things that I found in being in Grafton and working with E.L. Harvey in particular is that they do provide a very good service to the town. The amount of complaints that I get in our office in a town of 20,000 people is a fraction of what I got for complaints in a town of 8,000 people. And so that was one of the delightful things about coming to Grafton, was half my day wasn't taken up with people angry about their trash program. We still hear complaints from folks, and we try to handle those as best we can, but it's definitely, I think we have a pretty solid program to either build off of or pivot from anyways. All right. Anything else specific to that? I tried to keep it, again, high level, as we'll kind of dig down on topics as we move forward with the group.
I'm happy with that. I'm ready for the next slide, but Anne Marie?
Yeah, I just was going to add that in terms of like looking at what we're doing now and why looking at a different system might be better, in addition to folks who live in condos who are being kind of taxed twice. For me, and when we talked about this and kind of sold it to the committees and public in the spring, it's more equitable generally. So as a senior, let's say, who's producing like one bag every 2 weeks, that's fine. They're saving some money on the upfront costs of the bags, right? But they're still supplementing this 600,000 plus in their taxes. So it's a little, and again, if you have a family of 6 or 8, then it's going to be tough on you, right? It's going to be more expensive, but all in all, it just kind of divides it out in a more equitable manner. If we're not, everyone's just paying for what they produce, so to speak.
Right. That's a great point, Anne Marie. Generally speaking, in the world of municipal solid waste, the most equitable program is always going to be pay as you throw, because you pay for what you produce. So if you're able to reduce how much waste you produce, or increase your composting, or pay attention to your packaging, or however you choose to do that, you're going to pay less than your neighbor that is not doing any of that and is just producing more waste. So it generally is seen as the most equitable program. All right, do you want to just look at the other slide? The other side is, again, just really basic. There's really only 3 things that I put on here, and we can certainly explore more as the group goes forward. And I get access back to my server here. All right. Come on. There we go. So the 3 main models that I've come into contact with over the years in the town or in the state of Massachusetts really are 3 things other than what we currently have. So pay as you throw, definitely a lot of different communities doing that. There are programs that are called toter programs or automated programs. And what these are is that every residence, every address in the community gets carts that are tied to that address. So if you move, they stay there, right? They're not your property per se. And they are all different sizes. So different communities will do, some do a 35-gallon trash receptacle, some do a 64-gallon, some, I don't know of any that are doing 96, but I'm sure that they're out there. And then you provide recycle bins as well. Generally, those are the larger of the 2 bins. So the pros to that is that generally you can get a better price from your hauler because the program is now completely automated. So they're not getting out of the truck as frequently. They're grabbing it with the arm, dumping it into the truck, and moving on to the next property. So there is some economy to be gained there. The problem becomes, and this is actually full disclosure, this is the program that I have in the community that I live in. So we have 1 64-gallon barrel, and you can have up to 2 96-gallon recycle bins. What happens is if you get into a situation like you host Christmas like I do, or the holidays like I do, and you got 26 people at your house and you produce a lot of trash that week, I wind up storing bags of trash in my garage because there's no way to get rid of them. There's no other potential. It either fits in the bucket or it doesn't, which is problematic, I think, for residents in general because, one, it's fine in the winter, but if this was the middle of summer, you probably would have a bigger problem with that. It also invites, problems with pests. And I think it does lead to higher instances of public dumping, right? If you have no way to get rid of this, maybe your option is to find a quiet road in Grafton and dump your waste, which is never good. The second program that we see a lot of is the same as I just discussed, toter automated, except they have an overflow bag program. So think about the pay as you throw program that we have. Except those bags are only used for trash that you cannot fit into the bucket. So some communities go to a 35-gallon container. And then once that's full, if you have other waste, it goes into, again, like for us, it would be a green bag that you have to buy separately. And that's how you fund kind of that additional tipping fee or tonnage that you're going to pay. And lastly, there's a lot of communities that still have no curbside. So everybody kind of fends for themselves. And while it would be very hard, I think, for Grafton to go backwards to that, I do want to mention that is how a lot of communities in Massachusetts still operate. So, Jim, I don't know if you came across anything else as far as how that works in other municipalities, but that's what I've seen most regularly at like those DEP conferences and talking to other town administrators.
Yeah, those are the models I've seen.
Okay.
And I'm not real familiar with some of those because I just haven't had to utilize those formats.
Yeah.
But in the community you live, Evan, you said that you have different sized trash totes and then recycling totes.
Right.
So do you pay on a monthly basis based on the size of your tote?
No, so it's just a quarterly fee.
Okay.
All single families are one fee, duplexes are one, and so on and so forth. But it's just one flat fee for the quarter. And I believe that the idea of the larger toters for recycling is just to try to promote recycling as an environmental practice as opposed to, you know, a real cost differential, I guess,
So the DEP puts out a spreadsheet that has every single community in the state in it,
Yes,
type of program they have, and how much recycling is being generated and how much solid waste is being generated by percentages and everything.
yes,
And I think that would be really helpful in to get that an updated worksheet from the DEP so that we could take a look at what the impact of making some of these decisions would be. Because if pay as you throw, from the last time I've seen any of those spreadsheets, pay as you throw communities have by far the highest recycling rates. And
yes,
that other systems have lower recycling rates because the incentive or the disincentive isn't there for them to for residents to recycle. Um, and I know we have a composting program. I backyard compost because I have a septic system. I don't have a garbage disposal. So we've been backyard composting for the past 15 years. We come up with all kinds of surprising tomatoes in my wife's herb garden, which is great. And
Yeah.
sometimes tomatillos. But it also then, how do we start talking about expanding the if we do curbside composting, how do we get that so that it's expanded so that that drives down some of our solid waste as well? And is there a fee for that, or do we do it for free and all of that?
Right. And Anne Marie's raised her hand. I was gonna punt this over to you, Anne Marie.
Yeah, so the curbside composting that I brought that into our town through Black Earth maybe 5 or 6 years ago, just as an individual thing that I took on and built it up to, I don't know, maybe 70 or 80 people that were participating. Then plugged it to the town, to the select board, in addition to Evan, who were on board with doing this as a town model. So still with Black Earth Compost. So I think now we got it up to like maybe 150 residents. It still isn't impressive. If you look at other towns, actually our size, they were quickly able to get up to like 1,000 or 1,500 participants. And there's a lot of variables to that, right? Here, to your point, people are doing backyard composting. We have some space, a lot of us in our homes, so we can do that. We don't need a curbside program. So, the 150 or thereabouts doesn't really capture, no doubt, what's, truly going on in the community. But actually to support that through the town administrator's office, we're also doing a subsidy for backyard compost bins. And that was pretty successful,
Yeah.
I understand. So we probably, I don't know how many of those we got rid of, but there are certainly, so that was, we provided them through DBW at a, cost of 50% off or something. And so, to your point, I think absolutely I'm a big proponent of composting, and then when that would be part of what I would hope to bring to this group is that, I'll continue to try to push the composting because it's an incredible amount of tonnage that goes in our trash relative to composting. So trying to make it as easy as possible for folks. And I think, again, if I'm faced with paying for all of the trash that I get rid of, not just the $8 bag every other week, then yeah, I'll be more incentivized, right, to try to get rid of it in other ways. So the good news is we have a composting program in our town. The schools are doing Black Earth as well as the senior center now. So at least we can just, build on that and maybe use some of these, the dividends program to, beef that up even more. But
Yeah, we used Black Earth in Lexington when I was working there, and we actually, because we felt we were going to be reducing so much of our solid waste, that we covered the first year for any resident who wanted to get Black Earth, but we capped it like 500 households a year or something like that, and we sold out every year. In the first, it was the last 2 years I was there that we started doing it, and so it does significantly, because I don't think people recognize the weight and the
Mm.
volume of food waste.
Yeah.
And Black Earth, because of the way they handle it, you can pretty much put anything in there. Whereas when I do my backyard stuff,
right.
it's just vegetables and paper towels and things like coffee grounds and things like that.
Yeah. So what Evan's office supported, and I think I'm not sure if the select board was involved in this necessarily, but through that, what is it? The dividends program grants. We are giving the bags and the bins for 1 year to residents who are interested, but we didn't go so far as to cover the cost. But that, maybe in doing all of this, we could see if we can just beef that up a little bit and maybe take care of people's fees for the year.
Yep.
And to be-
We could probably utilize that RDP, some of the RDP money we get from.
yeah, that's what the thing that I'm talking about. I'm calling it the wrong name, but yeah.
No, that's what I was trying. I just want to make sure we recognize Mikey's had his hand up for a little bit too.
Yeah, a couple of questions now. Thank you. First question. So we have toter automated with overflow, no curbside. What's the correct name for what we currently have, where we have curbside, but it doesn't have to be in a bin?
So it's just, generally speaking, it's just pay as you throw.
Just pay as you throw. Okay.
That's what our system is referred to as.
There, I guess we can get into the full details of that, but is there a position or an option between automated with overflow and no pay as you throw, where we have pay as you throw, but it's with, bin?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So part of the problem with that is that the drivers then can't verify what's in the bins until they're already in the truck.
Understood.
So
Compliance is a challenge then.
Yep, compliance is a challenge. Yeah, that's and it still happens today. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people that put their black bag at the bottom of their bin and the green bag on the top, and we police that as much as we can. The drivers actually do a fairly good job of policing it. But I'm sure that there's still plenty of
it happens.
That goes on, with the amount of waste that they're picking up on a daily basis. So,
and then question 2, I think it was Larry, you mentioned RDP funds. What is the RDP acronym?
RDP is, hold on one second.
We have it now. Recycling Dividends Program.
Thank you.
That's a state?
Yeah, DEP essentially gives you funds for your environmentalism as part of your program. So the more of their certain criteria that you meet, the more money you get allocated to your community. So it's like a point system.
Okay, excellent.
We've been awarded that, I think, well, the whole time I've been here, but I think even the town administrator before me with I think they did 8 or 9 years while he was here. He got very good amounts of RDP money as well. So,
and the RDP points translate into dollars at some point.
Yeah, and then you can use that for other programs, either supporting your municipal solid waste program, or what we've used it for is we've supplemented the cost of backyard composters, which I think we've moved almost 100 of them. I can double check with Will, but I think we've done about 4 pallets of those, and I think they're $25 per pallet. And we've also done some other outreach things. We've subsidized part of the Black Earth, and I just can't remember what the dollar amount that we spent on that was, but
And I think the NEDP
yes,
that we supplement that too.
NEDT, we supplement part of that. That's a great point. So NEDT is where you would bring any of your hazardous household materials. So yeah.
I have a question. Sorry, you mentioned on the totes. So I have done some research on different towns. So there's some different things with that too, eh? Like would the hauler own the totes, or then there's some municipalities where the municipality owns the totes. And then it talks about like if the homeowner owns the totes and they get ruined or they don't really take care of them, et cetera.
Right. So yeah, those are definitely things that we would have to consider. What I have seen in the past, and again, they have I can't remember what it's actually called. I call it the Trash Summit. They have a thing every year that DEP puts on, and you go and they show you all the new technology, and you can talk to vendors and things like that. But one of the things that is kind of neat out there is that the town can use grant money from DEP to pay for the totes, and then they become the town's totes, which in my opinion is the preference, because then they stay with the address, and they're branded and they're very, they're easily identifiable. I've seen other communities do the ones that the hauler owns, and the benefit to that is you don't have any part of that program. So the tote gets ruined, car hits it, whatever happens, it it's all on the hauler. The resident calls the hauler brings out a new bin, and all is good. And then the ones that the homeowners own, a lot of times that I've seen anyways, they're not a specified container. So as long as they're X amount of gallons, you can use it. And there's pros and cons to that too. People maybe can save money buying them. There's a little more freedom there, but also it's harder for us to track and ensure compliance again. Yeah.
Evan, is there I believe there's usually a difference in the cost of the hauling contract if the town absorbs the cost of acquiring all of the totes as opposed to the contractor, and I'm not sure what is in the current contract. It might be good. I mean, it's a public record. It might be good for us to all get a copy of that.
It will be in your drive tomorrow. It was going to be in your drive tonight, but like I said, I can't get into the server from here for some reason. So I apologize for that. I also have, I have to check the date on it, but I do have the DEP document that you were talking about, Jim, that breaks down all the communities. So if I don't have the most recent one, I can grab that from DEP quickly. So.
Yeah. So I will say that to interject here, I did look into who owns E.L. Harvey. The company is named Waste Connections. They are slowly creating a single vendor system up and down the East Coast. Read their corporate pitch deck. It's a little, some would say ghoulish, some would say capitalistically efficient. And that they are doing a very good job at moving towards a single provider being available in every zip code. But my question is, when we put out the RFP, we have discussions, I'm guessing, with E.L. Harvey about like what moves the price needle, like if we switch to an all-tote system, things like that. These are conversations that the town had previously.
Yes. So, yeah, we don't really have it with just E.L. Harvey though. We go to DEP generally. This is how we've done in the past. We'll go to DEP. We'll talk to other communities. We'll talk to other vendors at different junctures, and then we'll put it out to the market. And it just so happens that in Grafton, E.L. Harvey has been the hauler for quite a while, so they have a really good idea of how to bid that contract.
Yeah.
But not, we're not really. we will get advice from them only as far as we feel that advice is advantageous to the community, right? So,
That's good. That's
um,
good.
yeah, full disclosure, it's actually interesting. So, the gentleman that is our liaison for E.L. Harvey now, was my rep in my previous community when he was with a different hauler. And actually, before I even got into local government, I went to a retirement party for a town administrator and wound up sitting with him at dinner. So I knew him before any other government folks. So it's going to be kind of interesting that we keep running into each other over the years. But yeah, Jim?
Yes, so can we also get a breakdown of what the, because of the 1.35 million, a portion of that goes to E.L. Harvey, portion goes for actual disposal.
Correct.
I assume we take it to the Wheelabrator plant in Millbury.
Yes,
Where it
that's
go-
correct. Please stop.
And-
Yes, sorry, my
That's okay.
9-year-old was hauling the dog in front of the camera for some reason. But yes, we can give all of that data, and we are using Wheelabrator currently.
Okay. It would just be good to know that, because at some point, if we choose a system like totes and we recognize that maybe recycling will go down, then we have to recognize that then the cost of disposal goes up through Wheelabrator.
Right. Great point.
Question.
And Marie? Yeah.
Yeah, question to you again, Evan, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
On the recycling, do we get information on that? Like, how we did this quarter versus the next quarter in terms of clean
We-
recycling and contaminated recycling and all that?
Yes, I will have to look at how often we get our contamination number. I just can't recall. But we can, I think that what my intent here is to put as much of that data together, so that we can have these, really robust and deep conversations. This being the kickoff, I just didn't see what everybody wants to look at, and I think get our feet under us. But yes, that's a valid data point that we need to look at. Jim?
Sorry, I didn't lower my hand from before.
Oh, okay. Good.
I fixed it.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
just so you know, Evan, for what it's worth, it is, you mentioned like fully automated with the totes versus the pay as you throw. And my experience, at least, I don't know about the rest of you fellas here in town, it is fully automated. There's just a driver now, and it's
Yep.
even just with our bags, they're just, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
think that, what you see, I'm not a huge fan of the automated with just the bags
Mhm.
because that's where we get the highest failure rate. And I think, again, we've been pretty lucky. The drivers do a pretty good job of cleaning up after themselves if the bag doesn't make it, but not 100% all the time. So,
But my point was
Yeah.
more like it shouldn't be an additional increase for us as a town if we, or I'm sorry, a decrease in cost if because we have three eyes on the truck right now, and if we go to a tote system, it goes down to one with the automation, so we'd save money. We're already there, like, so there's no
Right.
savings to be had maybe on that.
I think that where the savings comes in general is that if you have everybody runs the same tote, you have less opportunity or less cause for the drivers to need to stop and get out because it's less likely a failure point to just dump the bin. That's how I understood it with my last conversation
Yeah.
with ELRB. But yeah, I've seen them picking up the bag too, which always
I've seen the bag pickups with the arm be successful, and I've seen a lot of bag pickups that are not successful. It tears, the driver spends time running around picking it all up. So they try because who wants to get a stress injury? But I think there's a lot of cost baked into chasing down trash when the bag tears.
Yeah, and I think we have to keep in mind, so we are running a municipality to provide the best services to residents for the least amount of cost. But any hauler we get, that's not their mission. Right? And so, even though this is a municipal service, Mike, you had talked about how they're kind of buying up their competition and creating there's about 4 majors in this part of the United States, and they're all doing that. That's their goal. And we just happen to be the recipient. But
It's good business. It's bad for us.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. All right. Okay. Mr. Chair, I think Jim.
And then I have one other question.
Sure.
Overall, and maybe either you or Ann can answer this. Overall, do you have a pretty good feeling about the satisfaction level of residents with the current program?
Yep. I would, yeah, I don't have, if I was going to guess a percentage, we're at maybe 80%, 75% anecdotally.
Yeah.
And it's dependent, right? So sometimes we get a bad run of bags from the plastic extruder, and then people are very dissatisfied. The bags rip. There's problems with the bags and quality control sometimes, and so then that impacts. But as far as again, just gauging the amount of complaints that we get through the office and through Board of Health, it's maybe 1 or 2 a week, and of those 1 or 2 a week, they don't all get vetted out to be an actual problem with the hauler. We get a lot of calls of, they drove right past my house and didn't pick up my trash. A lot of those are people that missed the time to get it out, and they want us to have them come back, and we do, but that's a lot of it, and so there's some onus on the homeowner and some on Harvey, but it's a pretty. I'm telling you, I was shocked when I got here because I spend a lot of my time on municipal solid waste before, and I think they're doing a pretty decent job, and I think people are generally happy.
Yeah, good. And I can just say from my own perspective and working in different communities and being a resident in this community that as a resident, I've been very happy. I think we've been with the current system for maybe the last 13 years, 14 years, something like that. And I can't think of a time during that period where I've had any kind of an issue at all. And if we've just called up Harvey and they've come and taken care of it. And with them owning the bins, one of our bins did get hit by a car in a high wind day. It blew out onto Old Westboro Road. Cars went by at 50 miles an hour. I live on a curve. Somebody hit it and it was obliterated in the front of my house. And Harvey just came and picked it up and brought us a new one. And so as a resident, I've been really happy with the system. And I was just curious whether or not my level of satisfaction is pretty general with that throughout the community.
Yeah, I feel like it is, again, based on complaints, but I do have one other anecdote that is just an aside, and I think it's more driver based than it is, E.L. Harvey based, but we have heard from a number of our seniors, most of them, widows, who have long driveways, or they have that the driver pulls up to their house and gets out and goes to their garage and brings their trash out. And that's and I'm not generalizing it. I think the only folks that have called have been older senior women to tell us that this is happening, but maybe they're doing it in a more broad practice, but it is pretty neat to see that happen when you have folks that are here for a while and get to know residents and go that extra mile. So that's been kind of nice to hear.
Yeah, I think that's generally a trait with E.L. Harvey too, is because we did have them for a while in Lexington, and I know that they sort of go above and beyond a little bit.
Yeah. And Marie, did you put your hand up too?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to answer you, Jim, as a select board, well, first of all, as a resident, I've been super happy with E.L. Harvey. I don't have any problems. Nothing ever happened. My trash bags don't break. I don't have any. Put it out there and it goes. That's the last I see of any of it. So I have no complaints. I think I have had some experience, particularly with the previous driver who went above and beyond a couple of times and things. And as a select board member, the only time, and I don't really hear from anybody about trash, and I hear from a lot of people every day about a whole bunch of other things. But no one has ever talked to me about trash in the 4 years I've been on the board. But what I read on social media or where have you, is when we increase the cost, typically around budget time, then there's, folks complain about this is ridiculous. These bags cost too much money. And then it kind of feeds into there's a quality issue with the bags. And I don't know if there's, like, to Evan's point, I don't think it's a consistent quality issue, but we've had kind of some ebbs and flows with that. So outside of that, I think the system works.
And if I can digress for just a second about the bags, and well, I'll give you some more data about this, but we have looked at other vendors. They're either not cost effective or they're the exact same plastic extruded at coming from the same exact place. So it's not going to really fix our problem. One of the things that you have to kind of factor in when you're doing a pay as you throw is that you want to have the thinnest bag possible that is still strong enough to support the weight of the refuse, because you're doing this primarily for an environmental impact, right? This is why pay as you throw is kind of taken hold. And if you start buying hefty bags that will never break, that's great, but the cost of those bags goes up, which then drives up the cost of the program. Plus, it's not really a great way to be trying to be as minimal plastic as possible. So we're trying to thread that needle. I think that the quality's gone up a little bit since post-COVID. During COVID, we had a lot of plastic extrusion problems, but it seems to have stabilized a little bit, which I will knock on wood, because I don't need that coming back. All right. Anything else anybody has?
I would like to chime in just to make sure that we are all roughly aligned on like what the long-term objectives of the Municipal Solid Waste Advisory Committee are. So we want to like touch into the enterprise fund mechanics, go over some of the best practices, make sure that it is adequately funded to avoid frequent rate changes, but we don't want to have it like, more expensive than it needs to be. So it would be stable but level funded. We want to evaluate our service models and vendors. We're looking for something that is equitable. I will agree that, E.L. Harvey has been, for the community, I feel, a remarkably good vendor that goes above and beyond. Making sure that whatever solution we choose is equitable. I think Evan bringing up the different service models was really helpful. So talk about our pricing strategy, some of the compliance, the unintended incentives built into some of those other models, dumping or recycling may go down as part of that. Want to talk about our waste diversion streams. So Anne Marie discussed black earth composting. I didn't know that Grafton subsidizes that, but I do see those around, those black earth bins. We do backyard, so it's not really something we've had to dabble in, but waste diversion streams, both residential and, business commercial waste is sort of its own thing. They're doing their own thing on that, but we might be able to capture some of the waste diversion streams for that as well. And then nobody said it explicitly, but some community outreach and input, I think, poll on some of the satisfaction, pain points, community needs. I feel that we as a group have captured them pretty accurately. They match what I'm hearing in the community, but I think that having some community outreach would still smooth the process a tiny bit. When we transfer from the current model where it's coming from our operating budget to a enterprise fund, nobody loves change. So just making sure that we're engaging the community so they're not shocked. Are there any other main objectives of the advisory committee in our several months in office?
I think you covered that with a great synopsis, Mike.
And then I would
That was really
also
helpful,
like to
Mike. Thank you.
take a moment to thank everybody who's here. Thank you for caring about trash and not getting too annoyed that I'm not following the municipal rules of Robert's Rules of Order. But I feel like I'm in really good company here, that there are people that care about this. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to working with all of you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Likewise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got a really good group. I'm happy to be able to work with all of you. I do want to just note one thing, and then Mr. Chair, if we're wrapping up, I have marching orders to put stuff, what we need for documentation. So I will certainly work on that in the next couple of days. But I do want to note that it is my intent that when we get to the recommendation phase of this, I will not vote on that because I am not a resident of the town of Grafton. It's kind of a weird process, and Grafton does this sometimes is they put staff onto committees, and that's perfectly fine. But I want to make sure that this is representative of residents that are actually using the service and not just the town administrator who has to figure out the budget. I just wanted to put that out there. That I'll abstain from that moving forward.
And
Thank you
I
for
think
the
that will be
transparency.
fine. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, no, I'm just hopping into, I think that'll be fine, even though it leaves an even number. I would anticipate that by the time we get to the end of this, we will be in agreement with the system that we end up proposing. So I
Yep.
don't think that'll be a problem at all.
I think moving forward, I'll recommend to the select board that, if I'm going to be on a committee, I'm an ex officio member, and we create an odd number of residents. So just so we don't run into that, because like I said, well, you get it. So, all right. So, Mr. Chair, if there's nothing else, we can move on to adjourn. I can have Amber send out another email to try to poll folks on follow-up meeting and get everyone's availability. And then, like I said, we will build that file. Jim?
I was just going to ask that is whether we wanted to do it that way or if we wanted to try to schedule a regular, like every other week or something like that, so that we had, because we've got a limited time frame.
Yep,
And I think
absolutely.
if we have, regular meetings, then you've got a target of, okay, you need to get us information a few days beforehand. We know that, and you know that, so that we don't all of a sudden say, okay, well, we're all available next Tuesday. And now you've got to cram something when you've got a busy schedule as it is already. And so I want to be cognizant of your time and
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much. So this is Wednesday, right? Today? Yeah, it's Wednesday. Does that generally work for folks Wednesday evening?
This evening time is okay for me. Sorry.
Okay, so 7 p.m. we'll start doing maybe every other Wednesday to start and then see what's necessary.
Okay. So
For
we're
me.
looking at Wednesday, the 22nd at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
That'll be just after town meeting. Does that work for you, Evan, in terms of getting us some information?
Yeah. I think given the conversation we had, I think I have probably 85% of it on the server as we speak. So I can make sure that gets made available. So that works for me.
great.
Mike?
I think Mike has.
One final thing. I take a lot of notes on everything just because if I don't write it down, it's gone. So if you need assistance with some of the clerking, I don't know the process of uploading things like that, but I'm happy to assist.
That's awesome. What I think I will do is when I make the folder to share with everybody, I'll make it so that you can put things in as well as take things out. And we put a little notes section in there, and I'm sure Amber would love to be able to take a look at those. I'm gonna tell her to go right to the end of this meeting and just take your synopsis and make that.
That was just like our goals, like make sure we're all pointed in
Yeah.
the same direction.
I
Yeah.
love it. Awesome.
I had a question in terms of preparing an agenda for the upcoming meetings. You're sort of steering the meeting, Evan, which is extremely helpful for me. But showing up here today, I didn't really know what we were going to talk about. So in terms of preparing an agenda in advance of the future meetings, where's that information coming from?
So this being the first one, it's a little wonky, but what we generally do with other committees that we support, and select board included, is, we will take some of the discussion points that were had here tonight, and we'll use that to inform the agenda. We'll also then send it to you as the chair, and say, all right, here's what we think is going to be needed. And then, you know, you'll give input on that and then we will post it.
Okay.
Once you agreed and you know,
Okay. And I think I have everyone's email address here. So maybe once I receive a proposed agenda from the town, I can circulate it to the team here if anybody wants to provide some input as to what they think is coming up in an upcoming meeting, then all the better, maybe.
yep.
Yeah,
And we can, sorry, Anne-Marie, go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, that's great, Larry, because then that gives the ability for the other members to say, oh, jeepers, can we add this? I wanted to chat about that tonight. So
Yeah.
you get
Yeah,
that
thank
out
you.
like a couple of days before the due date for the agenda. It'll give us a chance to throw anything or ask you if we could throw something else on there.
Great.
Yeah, and Amber's really, really good at that. So she'll help guide that process. Great.
And Larry, just so you know, the agenda is available on the website. So if you go on the town website and you go under boards and committees.
Yes.
Okay, so you saw tonight's agenda.
Yeah.
Yep, okay, great. Yep, just making sure you knew where it was.
And I forget what the service is called, but you can get the agendas just emailed to you whenever they are posted or whenever they are updated.
I'm subscribed to a bunch and I need to set up a subscription for our committee. That would make sense.
Likewise, yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
I
right.
move that we adjourn.
Second.
So moved. Second, third.
Any discussion? Or anything
I don't
else?
think so.
You could just
All right.
adjourn without exception.
We should do a
Thank you
roll
all.
call, Mary.
Yeah.
Aye.
Well,
Yeah.
bye-bye.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
We'll reflect that in the minutes. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I think this was really productive. A great first meeting.